Hey friends, today we're going to have a little kiki about influencers and ask some questions about what they're willing to do in order to be viral. Like, how much skin are they willing to put in the game? And is that skin in fact on their faces? That's right, we're talking about skin influencers. And I'm not talking about influencers that do skincare. I'm talking about influencers whose influence seems to be based on something going on with their skin. When I tell you, people on the internet are obsessed with proving what's going on with these girls' faces, how whatever's happening happened, and even if it happened. So my friends, get a drink, get a snack, but I would recommend not getting any type of cornflake cereal while watching this video, because you may in fact lose your appetite. Today we're going to be talking about a 22-year-old named Tia Zakher? Zakher? I have not heard her name pronounced, but what I have heard is a lot about her. But before we talk about Tia, we really need to talk about Annie. Now, I am not talking about the lovable orphan girl. What I am talking about is the girl who may have not so lovingly been referred to as Scar Girl. I don't know if you missed this entire saga, but there were years that went on talking about Annie and the scar on her face and whether or not it was real. So while Annie has not specifically said what her scar was from, she has hinted that this was due to some form of domestic violence. And in my mind, I think give us nothing, girl. You do not have to throw your trauma out in the world in order to validate your right to exist. And I think it's sick how often we force women to make a case for their own experience. Because I have told so many stories online that people in the comment section will literally argue with me that they did not happen. They happened to me. They happened to me. You know, this isn't a hit piece where I need to cite my sources. I'm not a journalist. I'm literally a human being sharing my own experience. But I digress. Point being, she doesn't have to tell people the story behind it because it seems like it was pretty traumatic. The scar on her face is noticeable in her earlier videos, but people were noticing that the scar was starting to change. It went from like a pink scar to a dark brown. And when I tell you the internet was losing its mind trying to prove that this scar was in fact fake. There were so many theories. They were saying it was liquid eyeliner. There were people saying it was an eyebrow stamp. Like, just watch this video where someone has made a collage to showcase that the scar is changing. It was to the point that she was literally brought on the BFF's podcast to prove whether or not her scar was real. Watch this clip.
On my Instagram with my senior prom, you can see I have my scar. On my graduation, I have my scar. My senior pictures. In my yearbook, I have my scar.
Who'd you go to prom with?
I went to prom by myself. I wanted to have like a me moment.
I can't figure this girl out. I can't figure Scar Girl out. Like, that's the perfect answer. I was going to be like, let's get this guy on the phone and find out if it's real. It's like you're like,
Dave, I'm just so calculated. I'm 4 steps ahead of you.
Yeah, big time. It's like, hey, where's your date? I went alone. Hey, how'd you get the scar? It's personal.
It was honestly insane how much people latched onto this story and how much normal everyday people online turned into private detectives and like forensic photo analysts. You know, they are going through every photo. They're literally lining up the scars and trying to find the right angle just to prove that this scar is not real. This shit got so out of hand. Like, it was to the point that famous dermatologists online, so like influencer dermatologists, were weighing in as to whether or not the scar was real or fake, like the following clip.
I'm a real plastic surgeon and everybody's asking me, do I think that the Scar Girl scar is real?
There were even mega influencers that were mocking her, like literally making fun of her to their 5 million followers. It was absurd. Her scar absolutely did change, but Annie had an explanation for this because according to her, she had gone in to get a treatment, like to get it chemically altered to lighten the scar, but it went bad. Like, it went wrong and it darkened it and gave her some type of a chemical burn. And that's why there was brown discoloration versus the earlier pink scar. And you still have people to this day who are diehard that this scar is fake. We'll get into the repercussions of this a little bit later, but we need to move on to Tia because in my mind, Tia is now the internet's new Scar Girl. So Tia is a 22-year-old Egyptian influencer. She lived in Dubai and then she moved to Canada. So I'm going to show you a video of Tia, and she's not really acknowledging the issue that's going on, but I'm going to guess that you can notice it. Let's take a look. So I am sure you can see the skin thing that's happening with Tia, as did many people on the internet, and it started a huge debate. So Tia has said that what she's doing is called the caveman method of skincare, which I find to be fascinating. Now, I don't know about you. I don't think I would ever think to myself, ooh, I need a new skincare routine. Let me look to this woman. Now, what is the caveman skincare routine? I'm so glad you asked. What it is nothing. Literally nothing, meaning you do not apply lotion to your face, you don't do creams, you don't do acne treatments. In fact, you don't wash your face at all. Yes, you heard me correctly. You do not put water on your face. Now, I gotta be honest, I am not completely buying into this skincare routine. I don't think I could go that long without washing my face. But the idea is that maybe you get some buildup. Supposedly, the texture of skin that we're seeing will flake off, revealing a beautiful layer of new skin underneath. That is the idea, anyway. Well, the internet had other ideas. And the main idea from the internet was that this was not real, that there was no way that Tia's skin was looking like this, that this had to be rage bait. But before we even get into the proving or disproving of whether or not this was Tia's real skin, I think we need to talk a little bit about Tia herself. So as I said, Tia was from Dubai. She moved to Canada for uni. Now, Tia's perspective is pretty interesting. I went back and I looked at some of her videos, and a lot of them were in the influencer style. One of her most prominent and reoccurring types of content is day in the life of an unemployed 22-year-old. I want you all to think for a second, what would that look like in this economy? Take a second. All right. I'm going to show you what her content is. Let's look at what a day in the life of Tia looks like as a 22-year-old unemployed person.
Spend the day with me as an unemployed 22-year-old, sleep deprived as usual, but woke up, got some coffee, and then we went to this really nice vegan brunch spot and walked into this candy store, got some sour candy, and then we decided to go to the mall, walk around for a bit. Went back home, got dressed for dinner, ate some really yummy Asian food, and then finished the night off with some mocktails. A day with me as an unemployed 22-year-old. I forced my friend on a run. We had a really nice run, and then we got a smoothie, came back home, and then went to Beacon Hill, soaked up the sun, went into some stores, did some shopping, and then we walked around Newberry, got lunch from Whole Foods. It was actually really, really good. Tried Drizzalicious for the first time, and I'm obsessed. It is so, so good. And then we met up with some other friends, walked around Seaport, and finished off the day with some dinner.
So what I'm seeing is her consistently getting coffees, smoothies, going out to breakfast, going shopping. Meanwhile, I'm in the grocery store at Aldi's, standing in front of the egg carton section with one single tear rolling down. And I am thoroughly employed. I was really thrown off by this level of luxury afforded to her while unemployed. Now, mind you, she's been unemployed for at least 3 months, maybe more. So I have more questions and more theories about how she's able to accomplish this than anything to do with her face. How are you consistently going out to breakfast, going to the gym that you no doubt have a membership to, going shopping, sitting in the sun, like no stress at all being unemployed for 3 months? And she has like lots of videos of her doing interviews, but they never end in a job, and she calls herself fun employed. What's the story there? That's what I want to know. Like, how is she doing this? Like, what is going on? Is there a rich benefactor? Is it like Annie? Is she from a rich family? Like, how is this happening? This is the story we need to focus on. That is the day in the life of almost no one who's unemployed. Like, to be so carefree, stress-free, and able to purchase whatever you want anytime you want. Leave your thoughts in the comments, but yeah, it was interesting. As we've said, she went from influencer to skinfluencer as she allegedly was getting more into the caveman style. Lack of skincare, lack of approach, no approach. So then she's posting these videos and she's starting to get a little bit of virality with people like questioning what is going on here. And it's to the point where, as we saw with Annie, quote unquote Scar Girl, which again, so rough to call someone Scar Girl. Like, what is happening? Like, are we all mean girls? Like, what is going on here? As we did with Annie, like, people started to really fixate on this, and they are coming up with so many theories as to what really is going on with Tia. Now, there was a lot of reasons that normal people and skincare specialists alike were starting to say that this was not real. Now, one of the main reasons, which I'll show in an image here, is that the rash and the skin issues were not going up to her eye. It was like clear skin here, and then even around her mouth. And people were pointing out, if you have skincare issues, they don't just like choose not to go for your eyes and mouth. And more specifically, like around the mouth is a common place for there to be skin issues. So people were starting to say, hey, like that doesn't seem right to me, including this dermatologist. So let's take a look.
As someone who sees rashes all day, every day, the pattern of this young lady's rash is unusual. It would be highly unusual to get something like tinea faciae from not washing your face. Now, when we focus on seborrheic dermatitis, which is an overgrowth of yeast, her pattern is just all wrong. It likes the crease of the nose, nasolabial folds, sometimes the chin crease, loves the eyebrows. I would expect it to be affecting the hairline. Literally, none of those areas are affected. There is no pinkness, there is no redness. Highly unusual that you would have seborrheic dermatitis to this severity and not have any type of inflammation.
So Tia was involved in some type of marathon, and unfortunately for her and all of the participants, it was raining that day. Well, as the rain was hitting Tia's face, it appeared that it was impacting her skin. Let's take a look. Now, many people were saying this is absolute proof that this is not truly a skincare issue, that this is something she's putting on her face. Now, due to that video, there was one theory that was really starting to take hold on the internet as to what Tia was doing from the people who thought it was fake. We're going to call this theory the foundation clay mask theory, which is exactly what it sounds like, that Tia was putting on a clay mask. I think they were saying an Aztec mask, specifically an Aztec clay mask, and putting foundation over it. And that was giving the texture and the appearance of what we were seeing. It was to the point that people were literally doing it themselves to showcase, see, this is what her skin looks like. Let me show you the video of that.
It's a mud mask with pressed powder.
And I have both of those things. Let's try it.
So now we have people not only doubting her skincare condition, but literally saying, no, I definitively know that this is how she's doing it. But it's not just people saying that she's faking it or this is rage bait. There are people who believe that is 100% her skin, but it is not doing the thing that she thinks that it's doing. Several dermatologists came forward saying that, hey, that's not old skin that's going to crumble off. You actually have something entirely different. Now, I genuinely thought that this name was a joke made by someone in the comment sections, because people ask, what skincare condition is that? Oh, that's dermatitis neglecta, which I thought was a joke. Like, ha ha ha, you're neglecting your skin. No, this is a literal skin condition. Let me read to you. Dermatitis neglecta, also known as unwashed dermatosis, is a skin condition resulting from inadequate or absent skin cleansing, leading to the accumulation of dirt, sebum, and dead skin cells. And the primary cause of that is lack of proper hygiene or insufficient friction during washing, which very much aligns with the caveman style of skincare.
What you're seeing is dead skin that's gonna flake off eventually, while like new healthy
Board certified dermatologist here, so many of you might be following Tia's skincare journey. So she admits that she used to pick at her skin and now she's using something called a caveman method of skincare, meaning she has ceased all skincare, including washing her face, in order to heal her skin barrier. You stop washing your face altogether, it can potentially lead to something called retention hyperkeratosis, where the dead skin cells pile up on top of the skin and can lead to this almost cornflake-like appearance of scale on the skin.
Friends, this was why I didn't want you to be eating cornflakes. So now we have 3 prevailing theories that the internet is going wild about. One being, it's exactly what she said it is, and she's doing the caveman approach, and it is healing and getting better. You have dermatologists coming out saying, no, this is dermatitis neglecta. This is not getting better. You're going to need to seek treatment for this. And then, of course, you have the third group that is saying, oh, this is fake. It's a clay mask with foundation on it. But the story gets even more interesting with an internet sleuth. Now, this person did not mean to uncover this. She was simply trying to figure out, like, what is on her face. And when she did, she found something interesting. Let's watch that.
I think I have a big update about Caveman Skin Girl. That's her, right? This is the same person as that. Like, same face, same chin structure, same little bumps in the lip. But this is from a Reddit post 341 days ago. And how I found this was because I have no life at the moment and asked ChatGPT to evaluate her skin condition without using the text. And when I plugged in skin barrier desquamation, like one post on Reddit popped up, and it was that girl with her eyes blocked out. This is not the first time she's been through this. So I thought she said it was new. Am I wrong? Is this something? Is this something?
So now we have a post from like a year ago of Tia talking about her skincare issue, which looks to be the same. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means it's real or it's not real, because this was supposedly a new problem she was facing and a new thing she was trying. But we have this old thing from a year ago, so it's definitely not new. Has she been doing the caveman method for a year? Was she already having these symptoms prior to that, and it's just now gotten worse? Let me know in the comments which you think it is, because I don't know. But as much as it's interesting just to see this unfold, I think it's even more interesting and telling to see how fixated people are on it. Like, people are now amateur, like, CSI investigators, like cyber sleuths, to prove or disprove whether or not this skin condition is real. There's 2 things I don't understand in this. Actually, there's many things I don't understand, but let's talk about 2 of them. I'm not naive enough to think that people don't fake things for the internet and that people don't rage bait. I see it all the time. But how dedicated would you have to be to going viral, to do this to your face every day, living your life with this on your face solely for virality? I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I can't imagine that type of dedication. It's not even the point of her content. She's not like filming her skin and like her skincare journey is what she's talking about. It just happened to be on her face, and then people pointed it out enough that then it became a part of her content. It's hard for me to believe someone would put that much work into it without knowing that it would go anywhere, because there's no way in the initial videos that she was going viral solely based on the skincare. But it is something that picked up later on once people were starting to question it. It's really hard for me to believe that someone would be that desperate for virality, that they would be that committed. But again, maybe that's me just not being able to understand that need for attention or that need to get views. On the other side of it, I think it's crazy how fixated people are. When it comes to Tia, I think the stakes are low, right? I think, she's talking about her skincare routine. She's getting a lot of views out of it. I don't know how much it's impacting her or not impacting her. But when you look at Annie said this was from, or hinted at, but pretty much said this was from like a DV incident, like a traumatic incident that she doesn't like talking about. So that's high risk. All these people who are making like collages of her, who are following her around, trying to get a photo of her, people are interviewing her, people are leaving hateful comments at her. I mean, if you're wrong, you are tormenting a victim. That is a high risk choice. How sure are you? How sure are you that she's faking it? And the thing is, regardless of when the scar changed, there was a scar. There was an incident. When we started this video, I made a joke about skin in the game, but truly, like, what skin in the game do these people have that they're diehard trying to disprove her scar? She was like 18 when this was happening. And she was getting like stalked on her own campus from all these people who were so fixated on it. And it's just confusing to me, like, how obsessed people are. I think we've become very detached from the other people on the side of the screen, which may seem shallow coming from me as someone who does commentary, but it's one thing to talk about aspects of a story. It's another thing to aggressively harass someone because you don't believe them over something that does not impact anybody else. Like Annie, what if her scar is fake? Is it worth the harassment she faced? I don't think so. When it comes to Tia, I think there is, some valid concern that, hey, that may be something bad happening on your face that someone needs to look at. And there's dermatologists who are also saying that. If it is dermatitis neglected, there are some repercussions to your skin. So maybe that's from people trying to be helpful. But then you have people who are literally like saying, her skin is a clay mask. I'm sure of it. I'm positive of it. Let me show you. You are not positive of it. You can't be positive of it unless you've talked to her. Like, you literally cannot be positive of that unless you've seen it happen, right? But you have people saying like 100% this is what she's doing. And I saw people reacting to that and saying like, I knew it. I knew I was right. It's a clay mask, people. It's a clay mask. But the only evidence I found of that in my research was literally a person just saying this is what it is. Like not a dermatologist, like a layman person, just some girl on the internet saying, no, this is what it is. Because I said it is. Like I said, I have much more of an issue with her 22 unemployed content. I found that much more disturbing than anything with her skin. I guess the greater question is, why are we so willing to attack women online? Like, especially when it's something to do with their appearance. You see this all the time. How willing people are to gang up on young women. And it's not just in the case of, something physical, which it often is when it comes to people being rude to women online. But you also see this in the case of like any woman sharing her story. There's so many people that want to jump on and tell her that's not real, that didn't happen, prove it. What do they owe you, truly? Like, what do they owe you? Especially in the case of people telling their stories. Which again, Annie has a story. The scar came from somewhere. I don't know that anyone's denying the initial scar. So it's like, if you know someone has been through a traumatic experience to the point that she has a scar on her face, one can imagine how she got that. It wouldn't be in a positive way. There's actually an influencer who kept getting mistaken for Annie, and she made a very poignant video. Let's watch that.
Recently, I've been getting a lot of comments telling me I look like the girl who has a scar on her face. And I have a lot of thoughts about this. First of all, it's such a compliment. She's very, very pretty. Second of all, the fact that people are like publicly debating the legitimacy of a young girl's scar on her face is so weird to me. Like, really think about that. If you were on the internet posting videos trying to disprove this girl's scar, like splicing up little pieces of her videos, zooming in, slowing it down, like, take a deep breath, walk around the block, get a glass of water. You spend too much time on the internet. Like, that's a lot. Second of all, I've seen, this is so much more disappointing, and it genuinely makes me angry, so I'm going to try and, like, compose myself when I talk about this. I've seen so many young women with, like, well over 5 million followers. I can think of, like, 2 people in specific that have either made a video or made some, like, Snapchat story or some stupid thing with, like, a drawn-on fake scar, essentially mocking this girl and the scar that she has on her face. You think that that's a good use of your platform? You think that's a good idea? Like, you sat down, you filmed that video, you watched it back, and then you posted it? That's crazy. That's a crazy decision. to make fun of somebody for something that they have no control over, let alone another woman, when such a large majority of your followings are young women, and whether you like it or not, you have influence over them, and whether you like it or not, that's your responsibility. So now you're essentially teaching them that making jokes at another woman's expense to get a laugh is okay. I don't think this girl has ever stated where she got this scar from either, so it could be like an extremely traumatic event. And here you are, poking fun at the physical reminder of it. Good idea. That's a really good example to set for your young female following. Maybe I got a little bit heated, but I stand by it. Just do better. Just be a nicer person. Or at least pretend to, so the young girls that follow you don't grow up to be like you.
I guess at the end of this, I just want us all to be a little more cognizant of how we fixate on people online, how we judge them, how we harass them, how we watch them getting shredded in the comment sections, and we find that to be acceptable simply because they're putting their story forward. Why is that okay? Why is it okay to attack an 18-year-old online because she has a scar on her face? And you're so sure that she doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you'll never really know. You will never know whether or not this skincare condition is fake or that scar was fake unless they come out and say it. There is nothing positive that comes from that. So maybe we need to stop being so fixated on the appearance of women. Maybe we need to stop being so fixated on tearing them down. Maybe we need to take all that time and energy and focus it on people who are doing real harm. The worst case scenario, if they lied about that, who have they hurt? Meanwhile, you have other people online who are aggressively harmful, who are doing actual damage to people. And yet we see much less rhetoric. We're not seeing sagas about them. But God forbid we think a woman has made something up about her face. I mean, damn, when Annie was on of the BFF podcast, the lead guy told her that she would never be an advocate for people with scars because she's too pretty. When she said she wanted to be a voice for people who have scars. That's what he said. For me, the discourse was the alarming part. The amount of adults chiming in on an 18-year-old's face, a 22-year-old's face, and how fixated they became, and how easily people are willing to say things about people they don't know, because whether or not the skin imperfection is real, the damage for sure is. Thank you for joining me for this little kiki. I really wanted to talk about Annie's story. I ended up not doing it. And then once I saw Tia, I was like, okay, we need to talk about this. Like, what is going on with this fixation? I hope you enjoyed this style, which is me kind of just riffing. I hope it was interesting. If you did like it, make sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Bye.